Hello, guys. It's me, Butterfly Spirit 314. Now, it's been a little while since I've done any kind of live. Darn, I forgot. I've been working on like sewing and all that. So I think there's a couple of scraps I have on the floor because I was doing a project or something like that left over from my fabric and all that. So I think I got the fabric from Joanne Fabrics, by the way. All right, so I received a comment on a video where I was talking about that there is a similarity between Aries and Leo. And there was a lady that commented on my video. And I believe this same lady commented on other people's videos as well. I'm gonna see if I can find her comment. I think I moved the comment or something, but let me see if I can bring this comment up real quick because what the lady said about my video, oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard not to tear into her. I'm trying so hard not to tear into her, and here's the reason why. Um, the reason I'm trying so hard not to tear into her comment is because, and I'm trying to find the comment because I want to make sure that I don't, because I'm somebody, I'm very, um, I try to be understanding of a lot of people. Okay. Um, and even if a person, no matter what a person, their belief system, I try to be understanding of other people. Um, and if this lady's comment, when she equated astrology to witchcraft under my video, and I've also seen her comment on other people's videos that are astrologers and stuff like that and stuff. And I feel so much like I really like I really don't want to offend people or be off-putting to people because there's a lot of shit going on right now in the world. And I feel like there needs to really be more love and more acceptance of people just being people, not necessarily surrounding belief systems, because no matter who anybody is, nobody's going to get out of life alive. Okay. I don't care who you are, what age you are, where you're from. Everybody going to have a point when their time's up. Okay. And we all, as people, I feel like we all have this, we should all really value our experience. Okay. And I think that, her comment really is something where, this lady, and I'm trying so hard to find her comment because I think I hid her comment because I really kind of didn't want to get into it much. Um, but I will say that that when it comes down to it, um, and I can't find it because I probably got rid of it. It's probably my Gmail, but I will see if it's in my Gmail because it probably is in here someplace. No, 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 not there. I'm surprised it's not in my doggone social because I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. Let's see. YouTube's pretty good about doing that, but sometimes it is and sometimes it ain't. It is. La, 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 la. It's not on here. Um, usually YouTube does that where they'll like say, oh, in your socials, it'll have like, oh, such and such commented on your video or somebody said something to you. And normally I can find it, but I got rid of her comment. But I think her name was like I think her name was Eve. And for many of you who don't know, Eve means before. Okay. So the funny thing about when we talk about, if you go and you think about the Bible, right? You know how we have Christmas Eve, right? So Christmas Eve comes before Christmas, right? But yet in the Bible, they say, well, Adam was first. But then why do we have a woman named Eve? Why wasn't her name something else? Because if her name is Eve, it really means she came before. If she came before, that means she came before him, became before Adam, right? But see, here's the thing. Well, where in the hell is he going to come from, right? If her name is Eve or before, right? So Eve meaning before means that she was first before Adam was, because here's the thing, in modern day, there's not anybody out there who are having, I don't see any men having babies, you know, from a man's rib. That's not happening, right? What we have today is we have women giving birth, right? And that makes sense because you have to have a female to give birth to a baby, right? We see this with animals as well, too, where the female animal, she has to give birth, okay? Which makes sense when we have Eve being before, but we don't have the understanding of, well, well, it can get deeper, okay? So I can't find the lady's comment, but what I will say this. Um, I think rather than tearing into the lady's comment, because I can't find it right now, what I will say is there are people who are Christians and stuff that will comment on social media, be on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and they'll be on it. Because one thing is they want to do is they want to promote their message out there of how God this and God that. That's what they want to promote. Okay. And this was a black lady that left a comment on my video. Okay. Now here's my thing. I see her as a black woman and I'm not going to be against her. Okay. I'm not going to just be like, oh, her, you know what I'm saying? Because of course on social media there's a lot of black people against each other. You get the world star and all that stuff, and people were kind of waiting to see another, two black people fighting like that. That's something that people are waiting to see, right? And so what I will say is this: when it comes to astrology, okay, everyone has a zodiac sign, whether you know it or not, or whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Everyone has this. And the thing is astrology has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Astrology has actually been studied. Okay. Astrology was around before Christianity even came on the scene. And in fact, if we want to go into it, many of us know that story, right? You know how you have the three magi and they're going and they're trying to locate um, Mary because she's, having baby Jesus, right? Okay. So we know for sure that, Mary had to give birth to Jesus. So we know that's a thing, right? So this validates birth. Okay. But how in the world do you think that they found baby Jesus in a manger, right? How in the hell did they find him? Well, the Magi, right? The Magi, in order to find things, because they had no GPS, they had no maps. All right. So how in the hell did they find baby Jesus? Well, they looked up at the stars and they followed the constellations. But here it is, we have this lady who says, oh, well, that's witchcraft. Oh, okay. So that means the Magi that are in the Bible, that means that they're witches, right? So that means that, well, we sure as hell can't trust, we can't trust, we can't trust the story about baby Jesus then, because they had to find him based off of the constellations that were in the sky, because you know that was the only way that they were going to find baby Jesus. That was the only way. They had to look at the stars. But in order to do that, they had to understand what the constellations were. In order for them to be able to do that, they had to study the stars, right? They had to know astrology, all right? And they had to know astronomy. They had to be aware of the planets, right? So the very thing that this lady is talking about is saying, oh, well, that's witchcraft or whatever. Who cares? Who cares if it's witchcraft? Witchcraft, if anything, if you look into witchcraft, well, nobody really has problems with witchcraft. There's tons of movies about witchcraft that people are down with. Hell, I watched when I was growing up, I watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch, right? Everybody's watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Everybody has, right? You have people in my my parents' generation and stuff, they watched Bewitched or whatever. They watched that, right? You have people who go to magic shows and they have no problem with it. And there's different magicians and stuff like that and stuff. Everybody's down with, anybody's scared of, what do you think, witchcraft, you got magic, right? Well, okay, nobody's scared of that, because if they were, there's no way that would be on TV. No way that'd be on media if people were so scared of that. All right. There's no way that people would be. Okay. And so people are not scared of that. And when it comes to witchcraft, a lot of times witchcraft is actually about, caring for the earth, caring for the planet. There's nothing wrong with that. If we don't have no trees outside, and if we don't have those trees taking in that carbon dioxide, we don't have any oxygen and we can't breathe and we'll all be dead. And so I'm down with somebody who cares about nature and who cares about them plants, because that's how we get the air to breathe. That's why when you're in your home and let's say the air is really stuffy and stuff like that, and you don't have much clean air and stuff, right? One thing that people are told is to go get some plants. If you have plants in your house, those plants are going to take in that unclean air and it's going to breathe out that oxygenated air that you need. Okay. And so that's really important for us to know, is that, using plants is important, because plants allow us to breathe. Trees allow us to breathe. Okay. And so when witchcraft, where they talk about, they may know about the plants or know about the herbs. Well, also something else about witchcraft is that, well, modern medicine is actually descended from the pagan medicine. Okay. That's what people don't know. Like when let's say you go and you go to the store and let's say you go and you get a medicine, right? Let's say you go get something for a sore throat or something like that, right? And let's say it's got eucalyptus in it, right? Well, you do know that eucalyptus, right? Eucalyptus is actually made from an herb, right? What does that mean? That means, ooh, that's pagan, because, oh my God, it's coming from a plant. Well, a lot of medicines that we have are actually derived from herbs and those medicinal properties. There's been many studies about this and stuff. You can look many of them up. Okay. There are actual herbs that have been studied that are actually been proven to actually have those medicinal properties. That's why in the Latin name that they have for them, they have the word officinalis, because they have been proven to work. Okay. And so what I want people to understand is that this lady's comment, and I'm actually glad that she said what she said, because, it gets me to understand where she is as a person, right? It gets me to understand. And where I see what this woman is that she is somebody who is trying to profess her faith on social media. But the problem with professing your faith on social media, if she is a true Christian, there's two problems with that. There's a couple problems with that. The first problem with her is that if she is professing her faith on social media, according to the Bible, the first thing, and there are many things in the Bible. I don't want to go too deep into the Bible because I mean, I have my own Bible. I mean, even though I'm not a Christian, I will tell you, I got a Bible, but you see all these? I got a Bible right here, and I got a lot of notes. Okay, I got, I got, I got a lot going on. So I could definitely get down into her and into talking about this and that. But I will say for this lady, if she is devout into being a Christian and she is totally against people talking about astrology, well, first she has to address the situation about the Magi's using the stars in order to locate baby Jesus. That's one thing that she has to account for. And she has to tell me, well, if they didn't use the stars, whatever, what the hell else did they use? Okay, because there was no GPSs. Okay, nobody had, they didn't have Google Maps, they didn't have no damn GPS, they ain't had no damn Uber either. Hell, they didn't have no damn cell phones back during that time, or supposedly during that time. Okay, so they didn't have that, because otherwise they would have been walking around looking for where the hell they going, right? Because back during that time, supposedly there was none of that. Okay, we do know that there was birth and women were birthing babies. We do know that, so that's more real. Okay, we do get that. Now for this woman, she's on social media and she's professing her faith. Well, here's the problem. When it comes to professing faith, the first thing as a Christian is she's not supposed to be on social media, because if she's a real Christians are not supposed to be on social media at all. They're not supposed to be on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, any of that. They're not supposed to be on there because it is of the world. And it says that in the Bible. It doesn't mention social media, but it says that Christians are not supposed to be of the world. They are not supposed to be associating with anything dealing with sin, or anybody associated with sin. Okay. Real Christians are supposed to be as far away from sin as possible. They're supposed to be living like the Israelites. That's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be living like people way far out in the lands and stuff like that, living like people did, away from any kind of sin. They're only supposed to be practicing specifically like what it says in the Bible, which means you can't live in a city, you can't live in a state, you are supposed to, if you are a true Christian, you're not supposed to be around anybody of sin, nothing of sin, according to the Bible. Okay. But you have people that will get on social media and they'll say, oh, well, this and that. But also, and social media is full of sin. On social media, there's people lusting, there's people with gluttony talking about all the stuff they have and possessions they have and everything. And that's sinning. Okay, that's sinning. So I'm surprised that lady would surround herself with that instead of being true to herself about being a real Christian. Also, for women who are Christians, they're not supposed to they're not supposed to speak. They're not supposed to. In the Bible it says, and this is especially true in the church, but let's just say anywhere, a true Christian woman is supposed to ask her husband. It is an abomination essentially for her to speak, right? Because her husband is the head of the family according to the Bible. So for this woman to get up on here on social media and for her to say, oh, well, this is about astrology. No, no, no. She's supposed to ask her husband. And if she's not married, she needs to go find her husband, and she needs to have her husband lead her. Also in the Bible, it also talks about that women are not in control of their own bodies. Their husband is control of their bodies. Okay. So your husband is the one who determines what you do to your body according to the Bible. Okay. And I don't think many women would like that. I think if a lot of people really opened up the Bible and really read, I don't think that they would really like what they're seeing in there. Okay. I don't think they would. That woman that made that comment, I don't think she would like that. Okay. I don't think she would. The fact that she can't speak for herself and that she can't have control of her own body. Okay. I don't think she would like that, you know. And it surprises me too, and it surprises me even more that she's even on social media when she is not supposed to be of the world, because she's not supposed to if she's a true Christian. Okay. But the thing is that I want people to know is astrology, if you choose to follow astrology, that's okay. It has been proven to actually it has been studied. It's been studied for a very long time. You've had scientific studies and things that have been done on it. And there are a lot of people who we find in real life who have these different qualities. And it is amazing to me. And so, one thing I'm going to say is I'm not going to stop making astrology videos and things like that, because I find it to be a very interesting topic to study. And it is very true to life and things. And I find that things like witchcraft or other things, I find those things to be quite interesting because they are more true to life, you know. And if we didn't have certain things, if we didn't have trees and plants and things like that, well, we wouldn't survive. There are things that we eat that come from trees. If we had no trees, there would be none of us left because we'd have no food. So the topic of witchcraft, and people can feel how they want to. But if witchcraft was such a bad thing, then you wouldn't be having people going to the movies and watching videos about witchcraft. You wouldn't have that. You know what I mean? And I'll say this too. There are many people who have their own sort of rituals that they do. Okay. Everybody has their own thing that they own little things that they do that is a ritual to themselves that they may not tell people that they do. Okay. If you meditate, well, you know, that can be considered a ritual if you do that, right? But here it is, meditation is everywhere. You know, if you listen to music, well, there's music. Music is universal, but music is used in a lot of different types of spiritual practices, right? But ooh, that could be scary, right? In witchcraft, yeah, they probably have songs. Hell, in churches, they have hymns and songs or whatever. Who really cares about whether something is witchcraft or not? I think the real problem for the woman is that I don't think she's accepting of herself. And I think the thing is that the only thing that she has guiding herself is she's trying to have the church to guide herself and guide her experience. And I think that that's a sad experience because that means she's not really going to enjoy life. And it means that every step of the way, it means that that she won't be able to take one step or do anything for herself because she's going to have to go to the church, you know, because why? Because according to, if you go by the Bible, she has to have a husband to lead her. She doesn't have a husband to lead her, right? She doesn't have that. Then the next stop will be the church because there's going to be a minister in the church supposedly that's going to tell her what to do. Okay. And so, she shouldn't really be on social media as much as she should be going to her church to get guidance about what she should be doing until she becomes a married woman. Right. Then, but see, even then, if she's married, then she can't really talk anyway, because according to the Bible, a woman has to ask her husband. Okay. Her husband has to speak for her. Right. I mean, it makes sense that that would happen because we're going by the word of the Bible. Okay. But we're not going by real life as much as we're going by what it says in the Bible. But there are a lot of people who go against the Bible. They say they're Christians, but they're really not. They're just dabbling in it when they want to and not dabbling in it when they don't want to. Like they're they're doing what they want. But there are so many people who say that they are for the Bible and all about it, but here they are sinning against it every day. And of course, they say in the Bible, once you can be forgiven for sin, but if you continue to go on doing it, you know, you can't be forgiven again. You can't. You got one shot. You keep doing something, that's it. So for that woman, I mean, if I see her comment on my video again, then so be it. But she's not going to stop me from my content. I don't care what church she's with. I don't care any of that stuff, because it just means I'm going a step in the right direction. It means that it's helping people. And maybe this woman wishes that she could get on social media and she could talk and she could do stuff. Well, she can talk amongst the women that are in her church. She can talk amongst them, but she can't talk amongst the men, because a woman ain't supposed to have any rights according to the Bible. So, but yeah, she can do that, but just not on social media according to the Bible, right? Just not according to the Bible, right? Like, she can't be on social media doing anything, because she can't show that she's of the world. She can't do that. But I am in so much I'm so pro with other people, and hearing other people's stories in life and their experiences and stuff like that. And no, I'm not stopping with astrology videos. Nope. I'm just going to keep it up. So thank you, lady, because you were telling me I'm going in the right direction. So, too bad your attempt to stop me didn't work. But anyway, y'all, thank you guys for watching. And I actually have 2 astrology videos that I'm going to be posting, and I'm glad she reminded me. So I will be posting those after this video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.